Hello everyone, continuing the train of unlikely previous member returns, I thought I'd also dip my toe into the pool of Capaldi era slop to talk about an era which I haven't really spoken about much online at all, bar a couple of reviews on here from, oh god, 7 years ago. I've always had quite an unusual relationship when it comes to the Capaldi era. I'd kind of fallen out of love with the show during series 7, and I didn't know if Doctor Who was for me anymore. And after the 11th Doctor, I was seriously considering calling it a day. I mean, we'd just come off the back of the 50th, which essentially wrapped up an 8-year character arc, following the loss of Gallifrey and the Time War. And look, David Tennant came back. It's great that he got one more crack of the whip at playing the Doctor, eh? But also, of course, in the back of my mind, there was this knocking, a beat of 4 if you will. Brand new Doctor Who. I can't not watch new Doctor Who. After all, a new Doctor can truly change everything, and so my journey into the Capaldi era began. I think Series 8 reflected a lot of how I was feeling at the time with the show, where I suppose in a way like the Doctor, was going through a bit of an identity crisis of my own, and not being able to connect as much with Capaldi's more distant betrayal of the character did take some getting used to. I'm one of these fans that at the time didn't really click with Capaldi's Doctor until Series 10, and it wasn't until I went back years later where I fully appreciated what was there. And because of that, I think a lot of the deeper themes and character stuff was lost on me back then. Now, I think Peter Capaldi is one of the strongest actors to take on the role, and whenever 12 is on form, I would genuinely consider him to be the perfect Doctor, having this great intensity that draws you in, whilst being able to effortlessly replicate that enigmatic side of Tom Baker's 4th Doctor. There's a real alienness that comes with Peter's Doctor, but that doesn't mean that he's void of the more heartfelt, warm moments. I'd say almost similar to Hartnell in a way, where he starts out as a bit of a grump, but over time he starts to really open up and find himself. I think that perfectly sums up the 12th Doctor. I do however think this incarnation has a bit of a clunky start. I get the appeal of wanting a darker Doctor, especially after an incarnation like Smith, but where my problem lies is that a lot of the time he just seems to be written like an arse, with no real incentive or reasoning behind his actions. That combined with the whole love triangle subplot with Danny in the mix, doesn't leave the strongest first impression. That said, there are a couple of exceptions to this rule. Episodes like Mummy on the Orient Express incorporate that aspect beautifully into the story, where unlike with Amy where we see her choose Rory, it becomes clear at this point that Clara has chosen the Doctor, creating this messy web of lies, because she could never see herself giving up that life. I think Dark Water and Death in Heaven in particular give us two of the strongest 12th Doctor moments, especially with where it takes the relationship with him and Clara. That scene with the keys feels so emotional and raw, and I fully buy into the performance. Of course, with it all being capped off with the beautiful moment from the Doctor telling her, "Do you think I care for you so little that betraying me would make a difference?" Showing that he would go to hell and back for her, naturally leading into what they would go on to do with their relationship going forward. I know a lot of people say that 12 as a character is inconsistent between Series 8 and 9, but honestly, watching it back, that really isn't the case. Sure, stuff like the tank scene is a bit cringe, especially being his reintroduction for the series, but watching his performance through stories like Under the Lake Before the Flood, to his takedown of Bonnie in the Zygon inversion, or his confrontation with me in Face the Raven, and then, well, all of Heaven Sent, yeah, he's really not that different. Sure, there's a little bit less edge, but that doesn't mean that it isn't still there. The Doctor as we know it does shine through, but I think like Series 8, Series 9 is still part of that character's journey of self-discovery, with that final shot on Hellbent being the first true moment where the Doctor finally knows who he is. As I've gotten older, I found myself going back and really falling in love with 12's character journey. It's probably one of the most complex betrayals of the character we've seen in the show, from his initial identity crisis to the exploration of what it means to be the Doctor, and their reliance on the company that they keep, and how that can be incredibly unhealthy, and in some cases, incredibly toxic. I absolutely adore how Series 9 expands on the 12 and Clara dynamic, in a way feeling the most traditional of the revival teams. It's like 4 and Sarah, but with that extra layer of codependency, making them such a joy to watch, whether that be for the right or the wrong reasons. But going back and doing this, I now understand why the Capaldi era is so loved by fans. Yes, it can be polarising and off-putting, and my god can it be pretentious at times, but that's its identity, and when it's good, it can be some of the best Doctor Who to come from the show. The more one-off experimental stories, its unconventional approach to characters, and how it explores more mature themes. It really gives you something to sink your teeth into, and I love that when it comes to drama. I can now confidently say after doing this that I love the 12th Doctor in a way that I couldn't before. And personally, I think that's one hell of a bird. So I have no plans to ever make a video on this channel again, but, I don't know, I'll probably see you before David uploads. Goodbye.